Welcome back to another unconformed match review. Today we are going to be reviewing Arsenal versus Manchester City and Liverpool versus Brighton. This is the result that we needed, boys. This is the one that we wanted. I would actually have been happy with a Manchester City win, but I will take the draw mainly because the run-in that both of these teams have are going to be much more difficult than the run-in that we have. They have almost an identical fixture list than us. Ours is just in a different pattern, and then ours may just be a little bit easier to them. The difference that I think that's going to be between Manchester City and Arsenal in the last handful of weeks here that we have of this season is that they play Champions League football against very tough teams. So they're playing against Madrid, right? Which coming out of a Madrid game, it's going to be high intensity. It's going to spin a lot of emotion, regardless of the result, right? So keeping those levels the same across those games. They're still in the FA Cup. We're talking about Manchester City here, of course. They're still in the FA Cup. They're still in the Champions League, and we're still in this really tight title race. And I looked at the schedule that came out. They're playing essentially back to back to back to back to back games. The likelihood of Manchester City dropping points or falling off at some point during this run in is pretty high, right? So I'm happy with this result. Same thing with Arsenal. They're not in any cup competitions anymore, but they're still in the Champions League, right? Or domestic cup competitions, but they're still in the Champions League against Bayern Munich, who after these recent results, I'm sure they will be mad. They will be upset. They'll be hungry. They'll be wanting to get a result from these run-ins of games, and they are probably the last team that you want to see in the Champions League right now, because that's essentially the last trophy that they'll be fighting for. And I think Harry Kane will have a point to prove in those games. So again, the title is back in Liverpool's hands. It's back in Liverpool's hands, and it's really Liverpool's to lose. Their European competition is much easier, less demanding. They're playing Atalanta, who hasn't really been in great form in Serie A this season. So Liverpool may get a chance to rest some of these key players in those European fixtures and have their key players fresh and fit for the weekend fixtures in the Premier League, right? So that's the picture. That's the big picture right now. Liverpool back top of the league, back top of the table, rightfully so, where they're meant to be. And it's feeling more and more likely that Jurgen Klopp is going to get his storybook ending to his career, which is well deserved in my personal opinion. As for the matches, Maka is looking like signing of the season right now. For me, my man of the match was Dominic Szoboszlai. It may have been a little bit of bias there for me, but I think as soon as he started to assert his influence on the game, I think the game changed, right? As soon as Dominic Szoboszlai started getting on the ball more, dropping into those pockets of space, he created that Mohamed Salah goal. It was a magical pass from him to MacAlister, and then another equally as magical pass into Mohamed Salah. And for Salah to have the wherewithal and the clarity of mind to turn and shoot and slot it, even though he may have not had the best game, it was another one of those games where it's just like, man, Salah still looks off of it. And then as soon as you say that, he buries one in the back of the net. But that's what happens when you're a legendary player and a legendary winger like Mohamed Salah is, right? He can be having a terrible game all game, and then he comes up and delivers the good. So Connor Bradley did really well today. Obviously, in those first 20 minutes, he was having a tough time with Adingra, but he grew into the game. And I always say the best way to shut down a really offensive winger is to make him defend. And that's what you saw with Connor Bradley. Instead of waiting for Adingra to come at him, he came at Adingra going down the other way, which forced Adingra to think about, oh man, I'm going to have to get back and I'm going to have to defend because this guy keeps coming at me down this wing. And that's what I love about Bradley, is that he is a true out and out wing back. Not like how Trent really doesn't, try to beat you and get past you and use his pace and things like that, like Bradley does. So he gives a different dimension to the team, but I absolutely love it. Lucho was amazing today. He must have heard a lot of my criticisms because he played his ass off today, and he started to produce the goods on the other end. And despite what his dad is saying, He looks fully committed to this team. Every time he scores a goal, every time he gets a tackle in, he turns to the crowd and he's beating his chest and pumping his fist towards us. Was fantastic today. As for the Manchester City and Arsenal game, it was a snooze fest. The first half was a snooze fest. I almost fell asleep like 5 times, honestly. And you could kind of tell that Mikel Arteta was coming into that game to not lose versus win. And I think that will end up being his downfall at the end of the day. I think that's the reason why he didn't end up winning that title when they were so close last season, is because of that specifically, is that you have to come to win these games and rip the head off of the other opponent. You'll never see Jurgen Klopp's Liverpool sit back, low block, and defend like Arsenal was just doing in that last game. It doesn't matter if it's at the Etihad. It doesn't matter if it's at the mosque in Israel. It doesn't matter, or the mosque in in the Middle East, right? Or it doesn't matter if it's somewhere sacred. Liverpool are coming to attack, right? They're coming to rip your head off and take the game to you. And I think that's going to be the main thing that undoes Arsenal in this title race is that maybe Arteta respects Pep a little bit too much. He respects his tactics. He respects the players a little bit too much. He should have came to kill Manchester City today, and he didn't. And they walk away with the draw. And we may look back at this result as a pivotal moment in the title race that potentially have lost Arsenal the race versus won Arsenal the race. I think they're banking on us dropping points, getting a draw somewhere, and winning the title on goal difference, which you should never bank on. Go out and try to win every single game and earn these points. Well-deserved to earn in the well-deserved draw. And they earned it. They earned the draw. Really, they defended as hard as they possibly could against Manchester City. But honestly, it wasn't too tough to do. Manchester City, they had the ball. They had everything a Manchester City side would do, except for the finishing, except for the end product. The end product was really, really bad. I'm not sure what the stat is, but they barely have very many shots on goal. Raya didn't have many saves to commit, and it was a bit anticlimactic. I mean, even the commentators were having a lot of weird one-off conversations on my broadcast that had nothing to do with the game. They were kind of just drifting away and not even thinking about it. But Liverpool are back in the title race. Well, they're back in the driver's seat. They've been in the title race, but they're back in the driver's seat, and it's theirs to lose, right? This could be the year that Jurgen Klopp walks away with multiple trophies and retires a Liverpool legend. He will always be a Liverpool legend, but I think this will solidify his legacy even further. But let me know what you guys think. What's your early predictions for who wins this league, who wins this title? Is it too early to say it's ours? I don't know. You let me know. We'll talk to you next time. Peace.